All right, mic check. So I want to start with a small provocation. We heard Harris and Petri earlier this morning, and the conclusion might feel obvious. Everything is AI. AI in discovery, in commerce, in content, in experiences. And I agree with a lot of that, but the core idea of this talk is simple. Everything is not AI. And understanding that might be the most important strategic questions for retail right now. And briefly, just a bit of context. I'm in Finland, so I always have to do this. I'm a Sami, and in my mother tongue, Davin Sami kielellä, Vaimo means heart, so it's not the wife. We're a digital agency. We're focused on commerce, and we work with brands, manufacturers, and retailers where content, commerce, data, and activation collide, because that's where complexity lives, and getting systems and teams and the whole customer experience to work as one. And we spend our time inside real commerce organizations, retailers, consumer brands, B2B companies, different industries, different markets, but everyone is asking the exact same thing. How do we use AI? How do we use it without losing what makes us human? How do we scale without becoming generic? How do we stay trusted when anything can be generated? So these questions led to this talk. So I want to start with zooming out a little bit, because across all of those brands and retailers, we're seeing the same shift. AI suddenly feels like it is everywhere, in discovery, in content, in customer interaction, and the conversation moves very quickly to what can we automate, what can we generate? And that's why I want to zoom out and pause for a moment, because when a technology becomes this powerful and this accessible, it doesn't change what we can do. I think it changes what we value, right? And to explore that shift, I want to start somewhere that's been reflecting this for a long time. Movies. Now, I love movies, and for those of you who saw me last year, I think I showed a few clips from WALL-E and The Matrix, right? And one of the reasons I love movies is because they're really good at exaggerating reality just enough to show us where we're heading. And when it comes to AI, movies has been warning us for a very long time, for decades. This scene is from Blade Runner 2049. Agent K is coming home from a long day at work. He works as he hunts replicants.
Hey, I didn't hear you. You're early.
You want me to come back?
Just go scrub.
Yes, ma'am. I need a drink. You want a drink first?
Mm-hmm. Pour me one, will ya? I'm trying a new recipe. I just need a bit more practice.
Don't fuss.
It won't be much longer. Just putting on the finishing touches. Okay, it's ready. I hope you're gonna like it.
I told you not to fuss.
And yet... Voila. Bon appetit. I missed you, baby sweet.
Honey, it's beautiful.
Just put your feet up. Relax.
It is an incredible film. Love it. This is not 12 or maybe 10 years ago. Denis Villeneuve is at his best, and this is the first time we get to meet Joy, Kay's virtual girlfriend. All right, so why am I showing this? Because everything here is beautiful, smooth, efficient, right? And yet something feels icky off, right? The food looks perfect. Joy is impossibly pretty. Interaction is just perfect. But none of it is real, right? The intimacy is synthetic. The care is simulated. The loneliness is what's real here. And that's I think, what happens when technology replaces connection. Everything works, but nothing really means anything. All right, so that was the first future we saw. It was emotionally empty. There's another future that we've been warned about. This is Nathan sneaking up on his robots.
Ava.
Go back to your room.
If I do, are you ever gonna let me out?
Yes. Stop. Stop. Ava, I said stop. Whoa, 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 whoa!
So this is Ex Machina by another genius, Alex Garland. This movie is 12 years old. And what we're seeing here is not a story about robots becoming evil. It is about humans believing that they're still in control, just up until they are not. Intelligence scales faster than responsibility. Control is lost and agency is gained. And the problem here isn't its intelligence, it's agency without responsibility. Now, why am I talking about this? Because I think we're seeing two different futures here. One is calm and empty, the other one is tense and dangerous, but they share the same kind of theme or mistake. When we let technology lead without asking what should remain human. Meaning is lost in one future, control is lost in the other. And this might feel, and it is, science fiction. The thing is, it is not.
AI just entered the physical world. It's about presence. Physical AI for real-world brands.
So anyone who's attended a commerce or retail expo in the last year or visited the Tesla diner in California has seen these things. This is things we're seeing now in the retail space and in real American diners. Very real, very sci-fi and scary and pretty cool. So anyone, you've all seen this if you've been to these places, and what we see here is that retail is already here, heading here faster than we think, not because brands want to replace humans, but because technology makes it possible. We've got AI avatars with synthetic voices and automated empathy. We've got robot servants, and when efficiency becomes the goal, meaning is usually what's lost here. And this is one of my points here. This is not a risk about bad intentions. The risk is designing experiences that work perfectly, but they mean nothing to us. So I want to go back to some good news, because what you have as retailers and brands, what you have is something that AI cannot generate. You've got real products, real materials, real stories, things that exists in warehouses, on desks, in stores, and inside your organization. And in a world that's becoming increasingly synthetic, reality is not a weakness. It is your unfair advantage. So this is really the core idea of the talk. When everything becomes increasingly synthetic, what's real becomes premium. Not nostalgic, not old-fashioned, premium. And that doesn't mean AI has no role. It means that we gotta give AI the right role, right? I'll show you another thing. This is a TV show, Jimmy Kimmel.
But to stop everything when there are monkeys on the loose. Not here. You can relax. The loose monkeys have been spotted.
This was in January this year.
Or have they? This is a weird story. Yesterday, we learned that a troop of vervet monkeys were seen at a park in other parts of northern St. Louis. But as word spread and the local authorities there began to investigate, a flood of photos and videos started to appear online, which at first seemed like real photographs. But then the monkeys were wearing Cardinals jerseys and face paint to the point where animal control didn't know what was real and what was fake. Now, this is video of one of the escapees, or at least it appears to be video of one of the escapees. Honestly, we have no idea if that is real or AI.
So that's the whole point. This happened just a few weeks ago in St. Louis in the US. A real physical problem, real animals, real consequences, right? But the search became harder, not easier, because people started posting AI-generated images all across social media. So instead of helping, synthetic content added to the noise. This is another clip, the last one here, from a press conference. Listen carefully.
Were you guys having a hard time figuring out where the monkeys were because of all the AI Photoshop photos?
We did receive a tremendous amount of information from the community, but it was a challenge verifying the authenticity of some of that information.
Are we 100% sure the monkeys are real?
You heard that, right? So a journalist asked the police this question, and this question did not exist a few years ago. Are we 100% sure this is real? Pretty mind-boggling. Think about that for just 1 second. This wasn't a rumor, it wasn't a meme, it wasn't sci-fi, it was a real-world emergency situation, and reality had become questionable, right? So that single question captures the real risk of all the things that I'm talking about here with AI and a synthetic internet, right? And once that question exists in society, it doesn't stay in the news, it travels. It travels to commerce, to brands, to product discovery. Because now imagine a customer asking, is this product real? Is this image real? Is this review real? Is this brand real? Does it even exist? And this is the risk. It's not just misinformation, but trust becomes suddenly very expensive. And speaking of expensive, one of the first and most popular AI image and video generators out there was Midjourney. It cost about $20, $25 a month. And this is a photo I took of myself, and I gave the video generator one simple prompt. Spin me around. And this is what I got. So I wear the exact same pants and shoes, and you can tell that when I spin around, I don't have any buttons on my pockets. And these are Adidas shoes, not Nikes or some weird hallucinated brand there. But the point here is that this was 5 months ago, and I'm sure it's even more impressive now. But 15 months ago, this was unthinkable. And yet, even now, trust costs more than $20, right? Synthetic PJ confidently showing out his outfit. It's not yet convincing. Yet, right? Because that's the point. In a world where anyone can generate almost anything, almost for free, the real advantage won't come from generating more. The real advantage will come from being able to prove what's real. And that's where your advantage moves in. Because as retailers, we have physical stuff. You already have it. Products that exist, materials you can touch, stores you can visit, real people, things that can be photographed, filmed, visited, verified, in a world where anything can be generated. The ability to prove what's real becomes the competitive edge. So if you look at the journey so far, there's a clear pattern. In Blade Runner, we saw a future that's emotionally empty, right? In Ex Machina, we saw a future that's incredibly dangerous. And suddenly, in the real world, in St. Louis, a journalist has to ask, are we sure this is real? So empty experiences, loss of control, loss of trust. So this is no longer science fiction. This is the direction we're heading, unless we make different choices. All right, so another thing that I really love, besides movies, is design. And when I look at how the best designers are responding to this loss of trust, I see another clear pattern. Design has, for some time, been or gone quite abstract, minimalistic, flat, very synthetic, but there's a shift now. Not by adding more simulation. The shift is becoming more physical. We see more emphasis on weight, light, materials, physics, things that behave accordingly to rules we recognize. And this isn't nostalgia. This is one of the Polaroid ads from, I think, last fall. AI cannot generate sand between your toes. And if you want to see this design pattern clearly, there's one company that's always a good idea to check out. Apple is arguably one of the most influential design companies of our time. Not just because they look very good in everything they do, but they are obsessive with how the emotional impact of their products are, how products feel, right? So over the years, Apple has consistently shaped what good looks like and how we think about interfaces and gadgets and hardware and software, right? So when Apple does something deliberately, it's usually a signal worth paying attention to, right? I'm going to show you a clip. Everyone who has Apple TV has seen this. This animation plays at the start of every Apple TV production. I'm sure many of you have seen it. So it looks beautiful. It's very Apple spot on. Looks digital. It looks like CGI. The problem is, or the truth is, it is not. Apple deliberately filmed this using real physical glass, real light, real cameras, and that decision is very, very important. They could have simulated this perfectly. It's super easy, super cheap probably, but instead they chose physics. They chose real, because light behaves a little bit differently in real life than the simulation can do still. And in a world where more and more things feel abstract and artificial and synthetic, Apple is intentionally anchoring trust in something real. So you see the same thing in liquid glass in the latest versions of iOS and iPadOS and macOS and tvOS and I guess the thing you put on your head.
We challenged ourselves to make something purely digital feel natural and alive, from how it looks to how it feels as it dynamically responds to touch.
So when Apple introduced liquid glass, this glass-like UI, they didn't just want it to look like glass, they wanted to behave and feel like glass with refraction, with light, with weight, because our brains are incredibly good at this. Perfect simulations always feel a bit synthetic and not really trustworthy. We can still tell. And this is not realism for realism's sake. It's about grounding digital experiences in a way that our brains can understand, right? So the reason why this works, obviously, is because our brains are incredibly good at detecting fake, synthetic experiences. They see immediately, or our brain understands immediately when something doesn't follow real-world rules, right? Real light is unpredictable, real materials are slightly imperfect, and those tiny inconsistencies are actually signals of authenticity. Authenticity is going to be a key word in the design space going forward. So this isn't a design trend, it's how human perception works, which means that when digital experiences are grounded in real physics, they don't just look better, it feels more trustworthy. And that's what matters, far beyond design. And I'm going to bring it back in the end now to retail, because this is where we come back to the retail space. Retail already has what designers are trying to recreate. Real products, real materials, real environments, real people, things that weigh, that have texture, that have history. This is from the Nike store in Paris on Champs-Élysées. This is the Air Max, I think, history of that dampening system in the shoes. This is a massive advantage if you choose how to use it. This is another area in that Nike store, the Vaimo shoe space. This is restoration hardware, also in Paris. Incredible experiences, super expensive furniture, but it's just lovely to be there. This is Kith, also in Paris. They have, this is upper class or premium streetwear, I guess. They have a cafe and baristas and all that in the store. Super cool experience as well. And this is Sephora on Champs-Élysées. I think this is the world's best performing retail space per square meter. Sephora is just acing everything digital and everything omnichannel and everything physical. I think they're a great example to be inspired by. Right, so this is the slide or the picture I want to leave you with. When everything becomes digital, the most powerful interface is what's real. Not because digital is not important, but because reality anchors trust. AI will increasingly sit before the website, we heard that today, before the store, before the product, but confidence is built after that. And confidence still and will still come from things that people can recognize, understand, make sense of, and believe in, right? Reality becomes the interface that everything else connects back to. So the last question I want to send away with in the audience here is, when everything becomes AI, what part of your brand must absolutely stay real? Your products, your people, your stories, your environment. Because AI changes how discovery works and will change how commerce and everything works. But it shouldn't change everything, because when everything becomes increasingly synthetic, reality becomes premium. And that's why everything is not AI. All right. Thank you. I'll be around for a few questions now, and also down on the floor. We're out there with my colleagues, and happy to continue the talk.
Thank you so much. This was really, really interesting, and I'm eager to hear, can you share us any real-life example of a company that has gone too far with this AI and synthetic experiences?
Company. I mean, we've seen interesting I think Apple is a good example here as well, because if you look at everything that Apple does in ads and on the website, and a lot of companies do this, they have incredibly perfect photography of the products and everything, and it just feels too good. But Apple is in a unique position. They can afford to do that because this iPhone and this watch and these AirPods does exist, so they can get away with it. But I think you see a lot of like 3D rendered or CGI type product photography, and even spin around videos and a lot of moving media on product pages. I can't name anything specific, but it's just a sense that everything feels a lot more fake.
Yeah, and probably this is the answer as well. But when you showed us the movies, the second option or the second movie was about the dangerous future view. When you go to a company's perspective, what does the dangerous future look like? What is the path that they are taking, and what's the danger?
I don't think anyone really knows yet. I think this is going to be a huge problem. We talked about the Atlas browser and Chrome and Edge, and everybody's going to have this agent, and you can practically step away from the computer and let it do the job, and it will try to infer or guess what your intention is, or what you want to buy, or what you want to do. And I don't think anyone has a clue of how that's actually going to play out, because there's a legal side to that. Like, what if I do something that's illegal or commit a crime? Like, am I responsible? Same thing with self-driving cars and these kind of things. Like, who's liable in the end? I don't think anyone has the real question yet. I think we're all just charging ahead and playing around and testing things, and it's all interesting and exciting, right? And fascinating. It's really hard. I think agency is going to be one of these core questions. Like, if I buy something and I don't want it, if an agent did it, is it like I paid for it, but what if I want to return it, or what if I don't want it, or what if there was a mistake? I think these are tricky questions.
Yeah, and you work with different companies, different brands. What are the very first signs that a company is losing the connection with the customer?
I think one of the things that we work with the likes of Byredo and Helly Hansen and Diptyque and like premium brands in fashion and fragrance and outdoors. And one of the things that we try to coach them is to introduce an element of realness in there somewhere, like not purposely making typos or like messing up photos. Everything has to look on brand. But I think we stress a lot, we coach our clients a lot to inject a sense of realness, real locations, real products, real stories, real people into these screen experiences, because I think that makes a sense. It's a sense of human touch in there. I think that's what we try to help our clients with it. And we see it works actually. People like humans, right?
Yeah, and I really like the phrase, like you mentioned it, the real becomes premium. Not nostalgic, but premium.
Yeah, I really believe that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, PJ.
Thank you.
You.